Yes, Madam President, we're all set on this end.
Okay. If anyone's in the waiting room, do you want to bring them in?
Yeah, I have two. I'm just bringing them in now.
Okay, perfect. I think on our end, are we good here, Sean? We're good?
Yeah. You can set it, okay, that's okay.
Oh. All right, so it's 6:01. Call the meeting of the City of Tonawanda Council to order. Mr. Clerk, if you could just mute all.
Yep, all muted now.
Thank you. All right, let's call the meeting of the City of Tonawanda Council to order. Can you please call the roll?
Newman. Cameron.
Here.
Rautenstrau.
Here.
Mylum.
Here.
Cook.
Here. Mr. Clerk, Mylum is here as well. I didn't catch if you said his name.
Yeah, I got him.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's go through the agenda real quick. We have the communications from the mayor. Jim, under the communications from city officials, can you add the email that we received from the treasurer with the overtime report?
That has been added.
It is on there.
It is on there? Oh, so that's the revised one. Okay. Awesome. Okay, thanks. All right. All right, minutes. Ms. Cameron. Block party between Fillmore Avenue and Cleveland Place, Mr. Newman.
Yes, please, thank you, Madam President.
Next resolution for the Housing Authority for the 3% raise retro to April 1st. Do we want to do council on that?
Sure.
Perfect. And then I think we have a slew of special events. So the Kiwanis Club Chicken Barbecue at Veterans Park,
I'd like to take that, Madam President.
Mr. Rautenstrau, you can second. That's it. The exchange point, Tonawanda's Chicken Barbecue,
I'll take it, Madam President.
Mr. Newman. Okay, next resolution is for the recommendation for the city engineer to be awarded the CDBG sanitary sewer lining at fiscal impact of, per our agenda, 15,806 from the sewer bond and 54,690 from CDBG. Council want to do that? Council go with that?
Sure.
Madam President, just to let you know, spoke with the city engineer and he indicated that the reason for the change order is to maximize the monies from the CDBG grant.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, slow spokes bike rides event on July 21st, special event.
I'll take that, Madam President.
Mr. Rottenstro. Okay, then our next resolution is for the sidewalk replacement. We did get the list from Brian, so thank you, Jim, for getting that to us. Council on this?
Sure.
Questions on it, comments? Okay. Glory be to the kids softball tournament. If no one objects, I'd like to take that. Everybody go with that?
Cool, sure.
All right, let's move on. Okay, Discover 716 event at,
I'm sorry, Madam President, on the sidewalk replacement, who is doing that?
council.
Council, okay.
Resolution 10, the Discover 716 event at the Niawanda Park Band Shell.
I'll take that one too.
Mr. Ronstro. Do we know what we're doing with this? What event is it? Is it music? Does anybody have an idea? Mr. Clerk, do you? JG Production.
Yeah, it's they're gonna have them at the band shell, they're gonna have magician, live music, face painting, dance groups, no bounce house. And,
You said a bounce house?
No.
no bounce house, no bounce house, but it's, just, an activity by this,
Okay,
JG Productions, mostly, like I said, live music, magician, face painting, dance groups, at the band shell.
perfect. Okay, the COT United Special Events application, do we want to do council on this?
Sure.
Perfect. Do have exact personnel of a particular person. Let's see, what does the council desire? We go into exec and then we come back on the floor and we go around the room? Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session for personnel of a particular person. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Madam President.
Second by Mr. Mylum. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Jim, we're in exec at 6:08.
And that was seconded by Mylum.
Mr. Mylum, yes.
And 6:08, and I'm going to pause the recording at this time. The members in the virtual call via Zoom, those in the meeting will be placed in the waiting room.
Thank you, Mr.
Gonna pop up.
We already agreed to it. Let's just pause. When you start recording, it pops up. You got okay.
You didn't do that though.
Did the first time. I think it's.
Just the first time
Same
only.
thing.
Madam President, at this time, everyone from the waiting room has been brought back into the Zoom meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, let's go around the room. Mr. Newman.
I don't have any, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Ms. Camerediner?
Just have a couple of things. Traffic and safety met, and they have suggested that there is a sign that goes up to prevent cars from parking from,
got pictures.
I do, from Fletcher back to the second or first driveway, however you want to look at it, coming up Main Street. What happens is the state came in and put in these strips to indicate that there are cars there waiting for the lights to get triggered. So we have cars that are parked there that are getting repaired, and these lights are not changing. So I did go by and I spoke with the owner, explained the situation to him, and he was okay with that. He was wondering when that was gonna happen. So I told him that I would be in touch with him just to let him know. We did get the measurements. There would be a no standing sign going up. So after this meeting, we will put in an ordinance change to do so,
Is everybody on board with that?
and then a resolution as long as everybody's on board.
And that's Fletcher and
Fletcher in Maine. So it's Neil's Five
Neil's.
Corners.
Can you see the picture?
He saw it. I showed it to him
I just
before.
question whether or not it's considered a 2-lane or a 4-lane highway. Why we have a lane when there's parking? Situation. Questions for safety.
Yeah, and I can take that back to traffic and safety. I can send out an email. Just so that we have
Did
it.
there used to be parking spots there or what
I
did we do?
don't
road-
ever
did they do road
remember
work?
there being parking spaces there. I just think we just parked there.
Cause it looks
because
like
we
they
didn't know any
cut.
better.
that's where they put in the.
That's where they put in the
sensors.
sensors.
Yeah, there's times where you can't get that sensor to trip because somebody's not
Right.
pulled up all the way.
Oh, okay.
If cars
They're
are parked
driving
on it,
under
it's
the-
not tripping. the sensor.
Did everybody see this? Okay.
So I can find that answer out for you, Tom.
So, Mr. Clerk, can you poll the council and see if they're in agreement for publishing the ordinance as recommended by the traffic and safety for a no
Stan.
standing sign?
At the recommendation of the traffic and safety, there's the placement of a no standing here to the
Right.
corner sign on the west side of the main street, north of Fletcher.
Correct.
Newman,
Aye.
Camerediner,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye. So you'll publish this ordinance
I will publish it and then we can
and we vote on it.
forward on the 20th.
Perfect. And then the other thing that I just had real quick, Mayor, I just wanted to get an update. Is the council going to have key fobs to access the back door so that we don't have to wait to be let in for our meetings that we have after hours?
Have you asked?
Several times.
Okay. I'll find out from Lieutenant Sheehan.
Thank you. And that's all I have for now.
So you'll find out if we're going to be issued one or when we're
Yeah.
going to be issued one.
I'll see if he's got the fobs laying around. If not, he'll have to order some.
Okay, so we'll need 1, 2,
You
5,
need 5.
and then Mr. City Attorney, do you have a fob?
I do not.
Okay, 6.
Do you want a fob?
Sure, be useful for Friday morning.
Okay.
Or
I do not.
Can you one? You should have been able to get in.
Brittany, would you, do you need one? No?
I don't want to be on the hook.
Okay, so only 3.
Okay, Mr. Newman, would you like a fob?
Yes, please.
Ms. Camerediner?
Yes, please, because I do have meetings at City Hall.
Okay, Mr. Rounstrau said no, Mr.
Yeah.
Mallon said no.
I don't need.
I will take one as well, and then Mr. Rua. So that's 4. Okay. Mr. Rounstrau?
It's a couple things. There's a little confusion this week with the garbage collection pickup. I just wanted to thank Joe Worthling. He sorted it all out. I reached out to him, able to get most of that information out there. I think there was a misunderstanding in the interpretation of the delayed being the holiday was on the weekend. I just wanted to ask if we could reach out to Joe and kind of maybe clarify that for the next couple holidays for the year, just so it's.
No,
It's
so
not
the
listed properly.
wording is going to be changed and says that if the holiday falls on a weekend, there'll be no disruption to trash. If the holiday falls during the week, then
Then it'll be a.
no matter if it falls on the weekend, it doesn't matter if the observed holiday is either Friday or Monday, there will be no delay.
Okay.
So that wording will change on the website.
All right, yeah, just so it was a little more clear. A few people had asked, but thank you and thank Joe for having people circle back around, people that missed it. It's been on my mind for a while, but I brought it up today, sent an email. I haven't heard from Eric, assuming he wasn't in today. But I kind of had the suggestion to maybe look into changing the code or the ordinance a bit in regards to fines for uncut lawns. I think that's something that's been going on and we're always chasing after them. But something to further incentivize them, maybe a progressive scale to increase as they continue to violate it. And mainly to target, non-owner occupied properties or lands. Just it seems to be a problem for everybody that I've talked to out there. They're always kind of complaining about it. And when the person that owns that property just kind of continues to do it, doesn't seem to be incentivized to just take care of it on its own.
What is the fine?
I did not look up the number, but I want to say it was like 25 or
No,
50, 100.
Oh, and then at what point after 30 days, don't we cut it and then we add it to the tax bill?
yeah, but there isn't, then,
But the original fine, it
another
goes to
month.
court.
yeah, another month, you're
Right.
doing it again, that's another $100. And it can be lowered. It's 10 inches by state
By state law.
code, so can't be more stringent than that.
Can we find out how many fines we issue, like a month?
Sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll work with, if you guys could get behind that, if we were interested in that, I wanted to work with Eric on that, just see if we can maybe get a little more aggressive on that. For
Maybe
the
I'll
sake of the
Nip it in
neighbors.
bud A little bit,
Yeah.
What's that?
it'll nip it in the bud a little bit,
Hopefully.
right? I mean, if.
Yes, so why don't we put our heads together, think of some questions that
Yeah.
we can ask Eric. And yeah, let's look at that. It's a good idea.
That's really it for now. When it gets around to Rick, I didn't know if we have any more information on the additional funds, the federal relief or anything, and any plans for that as well.
Yeah, so the newest information I've heard is the end of August, as far as receiving the monies. In our Erie Association of Erie County Government Consortium, nobody has received the money except for the town, maybe because they're a larger town, but nobody else has received the funding. There was paperwork that we needed to fill out, and treasurer filled that out, and went back to the state. So hoping by the end of next month, we'll have.
We're pretty clear on what it can be used for. I mean,
We don't have
or is it still kind of
Yeah.
flipping you around?
I mean, there's things out there, but there's been nothing like set in stone. Saying that this is what you can and can't use the money for. The one thing that really hasn't changed is you can't use it to lower taxes.
Right.
So,
But possibly maybe improving the Kohler Pool situation and a couple of repairs around here towards the capital projects.
correct.
Which
Could be.
in essence reduces
be.
our taxes if
Yeah,
we're not bonding it.
right.
I think we're just waiting for the guidelines and writing, right? Mr. Reese?
That was really it. Thank you.
I found it interesting. I think the form said, do you want the federal monies? Check yes.
Oh, we can opt out?
Yes, you can opt out of receiving the monies or opt in. Mr. Mylan.
Yeah, actually, really quickly, I'd like to thank the Highway Superintendent from the town of Tonawanda, Tom Jones. I had a couple complaints from residents up on the hill about a strange and foul odor that was kind of overtaking their backyards. And only on certain days when the wind blew from a certain direction. And so through some investigation, we found out what it was, and working with the gentleman from the town of Tonawanda, we got it taken care of. It was basically what had happened was they had laid down some biological material, some leaves and whatnot to kind of cap over a portion of the entranceway into this the town's landfill. And the new guy was running the tractor and went too deep on it and dug up everything. So that was the source of the odor coming. But it was nice to be able to reach out to another counterpart in another town, and it was taken care of within a day. I'd just kind of like to piggyback on what Sean was talking about. And thank Eric. He's been a huge help with a zombie home in my district that has given the neighbors quite some fits. And Eric has been there every single time I've asked a question with a very good explanation. And it's kind of put the residents at ease for this house is going to be taken care of. It's going to be sold. It's not going to be a headache for too much longer. So, and just another thank you for working so well together with everybody to get things done. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. So in the next few weeks, we'll be beginning work on Niagara Street between Seymour and Main Street to remove a large portion of the center median and to make that one way in each direction with turning lanes onto Seymour and Main Street. So there'll be might be a little disruption over there, but it shouldn't be too bad. CFA proposals are due. I know the LDC is looking at submitting a proposal for the boat docks along the canal. Those are in need of repair, and they're identified in our LWRP. So they would be going for an LWRP grant. And in the same token, there's been talk of an overlook / kayak launch behind the homes on River Edge in the canal. That was identified in our LWRP as well. And so I'll be working with Jim to present a resolution for funding for that project. And it's a 50% match, but in-kind services can be used as a match. They're looking at, it's looking between $150,000 to $200,000 project going in over there. So it's called the Historic Erie Barge Canal Overlook Improvement Project. So
Say that again.
Historic Erie Barge Canal Overlook Improvement Project. That was our, that was Nate Taylor, the grant writer, who came up with that fancy slogan. So, so like I said, I'll work with Jim as far as the wording goes, because it's a, like I said, because it's a project identified in our LWRP. There's specific verbiage that has to be included in the resolution because it's in the LWRP. So. And Kohler Pool is almost reached its expected lifespan. Our city engineer has reached out to the town, or reached out to North Tonawanda because they recently went through this with Memorial Pool and asked them the company that they used in order to assess it was a company out of Ohio, I think it's the Cleveland area. And they said it costs about $25,000 to do the study of the pool to see if fixing it, replacing it with a pool or replacing it with something else would be the most feasible option. So that amount will be in the budget that I present the council, and we'll look at doing that over the winter. And should hopefully have a decision back by spring of next year. It's losing an awful lot of water. And
2 inches, right?
yeah, 2 inches, which a pool of that size should not be doing that. Yeah, that's all I do.
Can we have Jason and Mandy at the August 17th meeting to talk about this?
6:30.
Yeah, that'll be fine. And did Jason, does he have a copy of NT's assessment or?
No, if you remember, they had that idea of opening up a whole water park. And spending millions of dollars. We're not looking to go down that road. We just need a company that has an expertise in the size pool to look at it and give us our options as far as what it's going to cost. So,
I mean, do we need an assessment at a 225,000 when we know we're losing the 2 inches? And just something to think about. I mean,
no,
Yeah,
it's not
Jason.
200, it's 25,
that's what did I say?
220.
Oh, I'm sorry, 25,000. And I mean, Jason said there were
But
issues with it.
he's
but
not an expert.
certain. Okay.
He's not an expert. Nobody in Parks and Rec is an expert on the pools.
Okay. All right, perfect. So if you just want to confirm with us that Jason and Mandy will be there August 17th at 6:30. That'll work. Any questions for the mayor? All right. Mr. Rua, you want to come up here for a little bit? Thank you. So I know we received some correspondences from you, some potential ordinance changes. One was the aggressive panhandling ordinance. Is everybody on board with that? So do we wish to proceed?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We made one amendment to it, the section pursuant to the request from police chief. We've exempted not-for-profit organizations, fill the boots, fill the hats, those type of organizations, or anything authorized by the city. Because we had a section there, you couldn't solicit for money on the roadways. But we did include now an exception for that, and I'll send out the revised ordinance. That was a request made by the chief of police.
Okay, you don't know off the top of your head what section it was, do you? I can keep looking.
I think 107E, but I'm not positive.
Okay. Okay, okay.
Madam President, I can go ahead and with the publication of the ordinance change, and then we can get the revisions from Mr. Rowe then afterwards.
Yes, Mr. Clerk, if you could just pull the council, make sure that we're all on board with publishing the ordinance.
Yeah, this is for the updating the panhandling ordinance.
Correct.
Okay. For publication, Newman,
Aye.
Cameron Danner,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye. Okay.
Jim, I'll help you write the notice and the resolution.
Thank you. Mike.
Okay. Next was the alcohol ordinance. Did everybody take a look at it? Do we have questions on it?
I thought it was well written.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
straightforward.
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
There was a request from the mayor's office. I guess there's been significant problems around the hub. And so we've come up with this ordinance to prevent, prohibit alcohol in that area unless it's pursuant to an authorized permit.
Do we have to add something on our special event permit, or do we have to add verbiage to that?
It's already in the section.
It's on the special event
I
permit,
believe it is, yes.
is it?
Yeah, there's an ask if the alcohol's been provided, and I think it notes that you're responsible for your own licensing.
Right, but should we say should we add a clause that says it's prohibited in this area?
Well, I thought it was gonna be allowed unless
If you'd have to get a permit to
Unless it
have
was an
alcohol in
event.
that area.
Pursuant
you'd have to
to,
get a separate permit.
Oh, true, true. Okay,
You'd have to have a special event, otherwise there's no alcohol in that area. You need a special event permit in order to have alcohol in that area.
true. True. So the concerns are that there's people congregating with alcohol in the area, they're urinating there, right?
They're vomiting, urinating all over the place, vomiting. Regular residents and visitors are afraid to use the facilities. It's like a hangout right now.
And it's separate and apart from the events that we have down there right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for? Okay, Mr. Clerk, if you could just poll the council and make sure that we're on the same page to publish this ordinance as well. We're gonna keep you
Okay.
busy.
As Council President mentioned, Newman,
Aye.
Cameron Danner,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
aye,
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye. So far, Mr. Clerk, we have 3 ordinances that we're gonna publish.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay. Last month, we met with Jackie James Creedon from Citizen Science Community Resources. And she had, I think, she had first asked for, I think it was 10,000, right?
That was for 50.
50,000. To proceed with a grant application. She sent a follow-up email after our meeting, just asking if we were on board with any monies so that they can proceed with the grant application, so that she can say that all the municipalities are participating. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, there was no $5,000 or 500, right? There was just, is there a minimum?
Right, because she was under the impression that with the grant through the judgment on Tonawanda Coke, that it had to be a 50% match with what she would receive potentially through judgment against Tonawanda Coke through the environmental fund that was set up. I informed her that that wasn't the case. It wasn't a 50% match. That it was, you had to identify any kind of match that that was associated with your grant, with their grant application. So I know she went with went to the town. They gave her 50. I know she was supposed to present in front of Grand Island. Would have been last month. And I haven't heard back whether Grand Island said they would fund any of the project or not.
Okay. And you and I had talked, I know at one point I'd asked if we could use COVID monies for this, and obviously we don't know yet.
Yeah,
because
we don't
have
know
the
100%
guidelines.
sure yet.
It was also, if I remember correctly, she said it could be split over 2 years too. right?
Correct. What is the council, what are the council's thoughts on this?
I think it's something to talk about at budget time.
Yeah. I mean, I can't- we don't
If I
have it now.
remember correctly too, didn't she talk about having somebody that was willing to come in after the testing? If there was problems with people's soil, to have their company come in and remediate the situation at no cost to the resident too,
Right.
as part of this. And for the $5,000-10,000, if we are affected in the area, and we bring in that kind of help, I kind of think that benefit might outweigh. I don't know how harsh but it is, but I think people are concerned about properties and pollution. It'd be great to have this available to our residents.
Does anybody know when the grant applications due?
No, the grant, the applications were already due. Waiting to hear back.
Oh,
I want to say it's around November, end of November, on the successful grants.
so they've already submitted the grant.
They've already submitted.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with Dave. Maybe wait until budget time.
Yeah, because we don't have any funds right now.
We'll have a better handle on
Yeah.
everything. I think that.
All right, I agree. All right, I'll let her know. So,
I mean, I think we're all for it. It's just,
right,
what's the budget?
finding the
gonna-
monies.
Right, what's it gonna-
Okay. All right, no, perfect. Mr. Ruud, do we have an update on the PSA for Spalding?
The two new ones, at this point, we're contacting a surveyor. I don't have a legal description for what they're actually buying. I want to make sure we don't sell the same piece of property to each of them. All we have is they're buying 1.1 acres or 1.2 acres.
Okay.
I don't have a location, so that we're working on. The other one, for Simmers Crane, we're just revising it. We're taking out the requirements of them to start immediate construction.
Okay.
They want to buy the land, but they're not necessarily going to immediately construct any extensions to their building.
So will we have a time frame on that or?
Within a week or so, we should have Simmers Crane, and again, I wait for the surveyor to get back to me, and we want to go to the property and survey the scene and try to figure out what's what.
Okay, but you had said that you took out the clause that they have to expand within 1 year. Are we going to modify that to 5 years or just at their desire?
There's been no discussion of it other than they were exercising their right of first refusal. And we had put in there that they would obviously comply with all the restrictions and commence construction immediately.
Okay.
That's all coming out. I understand that they do intend to extend their facility, but we don't have a time frame. We didn't negotiate.
That's all good news. Well, you probably don't want to sit down yet. I know there was some discussions about the REM properties. And we had received an email from our city assessor. So I wanted to round back with you.
Yeah, there's some incomplete and inaccurate information floating out there about the in-rems. So first of all, as you know, the COVID-19 Emergency Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Act of 2020 was extended until August 31st. And I have a copy of a handout for you. But this act specifically provides that any action to foreclose on delinquent taxes or sell a tax lien relating to a residential property was prohibited. Okay, and it does not include vacant or abandoned properties. If they were listed on the statewide vacant and abandoned property electronic registry. We don't have any properties listed on that registry. So even though it might be vacant or abandoned, we cannot proceed as a result of this act. So that's important to note because there was some indications we could go against abandoned or vacant properties. Now, we can start a foreclosure under this act, but we must provide the homeowners with information regarding the hardship declaration. Okay, we have to provide it, and I've got a copy of what we have to provide them, which I'll share with you in a moment. But it's basically a 2-page document where they fill in their address and sign it. And this automatically then has a stay to the proceeding. Okay, and
How long's the stay?
well, a minimum of 60 days. Okay. And then we have, it's a presumptive stay. So we have a right to challenge it. Brittany was doing some research on some of the challenges and they've denied the challenges, even though the homeowner didn't present any evidence at all. That's one of the cases she was sharing with me this evening. So it looks as though the courts are going to favor the homeowners. And so I've got a copy of that for you, which I'll give everybody. It's a pretty straightforward notice. It even talks about it's a hardship if you can't find a place to go and relocate. Oh, I got this extension. I don't usually have handouts. Thank you. So basically, we have to give them the notice when we serve them with the foreclosure papers. They basically put in their address and sign it, and then the foreclosure action is stopped. Now, the law is set to expire. This act is set to expire August 31st. So what our plan is at this point is Brittany and I will be meeting with the city treasurer to update our list because it's over 1.5 years old at this point. And in July, this month, we're going to order us stub searches so that come August 31st, we'll be ready to start.
Do you anticipate that they would extend this?
Doesn't look like it at this point, but there's never a guarantee with the state. But we're going to start the stub searches. We didn't want to start the foreclosure, have everybody sign this agreement, and then our stub searches would not be viable when we are actually going to foreclose. We'd have to update them a second time because we have to send notice to all lien holders, all judgment holders, mortgage holders, and owners of the property. And once a stub search gives us all the information, it does get old over time. So if we're looking at 60, 90 or more down the road, we're going to be paying for the same stub search twice. So we're trying not to waste any money. And that's why we've been holding off. So the fact that, yes, we could file tomorrow. We give everybody the notice that's in front of you. And like I said, it even talks about having difficulty relocating. Moving expenses and difficulty having securing alternate housing make it a hardship for me to relocate to another residence during the COVID-19 pandemic. How do we even contest that? We could go to court and try to contest it, but unless we find a place for them that was cheaper than where they're currently at, the court's going to rule in the homeowner's favor, and our foreclosure is stalled. We've wasted time and money, publication costs, stub search costs, when the law is set to expire at the end of August. So that's why we've had the plan to wait until this is over, as opposed to trying to push it through and just end up spending additional monies.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I think maybe next steps, you'll schedule a meeting with the assessor and the
We're meeting
treasurer.
with the treasurer, update our list. Yeah, we don't need the assessor in this process.
Okay,
If we have questions, we'll be happy to reach out.
okay. Thank you so much, Mike.
Will we be going off the latest list of we've seen with the
We're
what is it,
updating,
2019 list, I believe it was?
we're updating the list so that if you're at least 2 years in arrears, we can foreclose. Another year has gone by since we have our, we prepared, Brittany had all the papers prepared to file when the pandemic hit.
I believe that was approximately $2 million in arrears.
I don't know the amount, the treasurer may know that, but we will update the list. That's why we're meeting with the treasurer.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, one last thing. Don, if you could just clarify something. I had heard that the LDC had proposed using the city grant writer at our expense. Can you kind of clarify that? And was anything resolved with that, or what's transpiring?
Well, that was done at the last meeting. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it. It was noted in their minutes. I don't know that the city can actually allow them to use the grant writer because my understanding from researching it, it's supposed to be a separate entity from the
Right.
city.
Right,
So I don't know how the LDC can use our grant writer. They would have to get their own and pay for that.
right. They'd have to have a contract with Rotella.
Yeah, and pay for it on their own. It shouldn't be something that our taxpayers are paying for.
Okay, was there a vote or is it just,
I believe it was a discussion. We
Okay.
meet again on the 19th. So that was on my notes to bring back up.
I mean, typically, we wouldn't offer
I
our
mean,
grant
just like-
writing.
I mean, same thing with Dale,
Right.
with the housing authority, I mean, they're separate entities, so.
Right, okay. Did you hear that, though?
I had heard something like that and, informed, told Chuck to tell the LDC that we wouldn't be able to do that, so,
Okay. All right, so we think it's a dead issue. Okay.
as far as I know.
perfect.
I'll bring it up on the
Just-
19th, like
yeah.
I said.
But I mean, they can
There's
just
my-
kind of be hired the same.
Oh,
grant.
They can
yeah.
hire 'em.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Hire 'em.
Yeah, but I mean, you're just not clear as to.
Right,
what their
we
intent-
can't,
right,
like, here, send them grant proposals.
right. Right. So I just wanted to clarify that. So your next meeting is July 19th. And we'll just move forward on that. All right, anything else before we take a few minute break and get out? Are we good? All right. All right, so we're just gonna take, 4-minute break and we'll be back.
Or that's a recorded session.
Madam President, I'm going to pause the recording at this time.
Thank you so much.
And
Okay, Madam President,
Right here in the middle.
7:01. Everyone from the waiting room has been brought into the meeting.
Thank you.
walk back out of my driveway.
All right, let's call the meeting of the City of Tonawanda Council to order. Can you please call the roll?
Newman,
Here.
Camberdanner,
Here,
Rautenstrau,
Here.
Mylum,
Here.
Cook.
Here. All right, I'd like to call up some gentlemen from the Order of Molay. I apologize if I mispronounced that correctly. And I'd like you to lead us in the pledge, if you don't mind. So come on up.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Please stand. O Lord our God, as we gather here this evening as those who have been entrusted with the care and well-being of your people, we ask that your love of justice fill our hearts this evening. Help us to serve with wisdom and compassion. that the poor and powerless be treated with kindness and justice. Open our ears to the genuine cries for help that surround us, especially from those who are caught in the endless cycles of poverty, abuse, violence, or despair. Give to your leaders in this council tonight the wisdom to know how best to respond to each and every issue before them. Grant them courage to do the right thing, even if it may be unpopular. Under their leadership, may the people of the city of Tonawanda flourish with lasting peace and plenty for all. We ask this in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. You may be seated. All right, bid openings per our agenda. Communications from the mayor have been ordered and filed. And communications from city officials and correspondents have also been ordered and filed. We'll now take comments by the public on the resolutions. For those that are joining us in person, please come up to the microphone and we can address you. For those joining us virtually, thank you, Mr. Clerk. For those joining us virtually, there is a spot for you to raise your hand on the resolutions. Anyone wishing to address the council on the resolutions? Mr. Clerk, we have none here. Do you have anyone wishing to address us virtually?
Madam President, I do not show anyone in the Zoom meeting willing to, or wants to make any comments on the resolutions.
All right, thank you so much. Hearing none, let's roll.
Resolution number 1 by Councilmember Cameron.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, Madam President.
Second by Mr. Newman. Comments or questions?
I'm sorry. Resolved that the common council minutes from June 15, 2021 and June 29th, 2021 be accepted as filed.
Comments or questions? Sorry, Mr. Clerk, I was jumping the gun there.
That's
Please
okay.
call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 2 by Councilmember Newman.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Madam President.
Second by Ms. Cameron.
Resolved that the residents of Cleveland Avenue between Fillmore Avenue and Cleveland Place be permitted to conduct a block party on July 31st, 2021 from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 3 by the council, seconded by the council. Resolved that all Tonawanda Housing Authority employees be granted a 3% raise retroactive to April 1st, 2021. And be it further resolved that these increases are subject to the approval of the local legislative body and the New York State Division of Housing and Community Renewal as governed by public housing law.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution 4 by Councilmember Rautenstrau.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Madam President.
Second by Ms. Cameron.
Whereas a special events application was received by the city clerk from the Kiwanis Club for their chicken barbecue at Veterans Park. And whereas the application was reviewed and commented on by all appropriate department heads to ensure the safety and well-being of our residents. And whereas all details of the above named event must be coordinated with Amanda Loft, Director of Parks and Recreation, and the event chairperson. Now therefore be resolved that permission is granted to the Kiwanis Club to hold the chicken barbecue in Veterans Park on September 12th, 2021 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And resolved that a certificate of insurance naming the city of Tonawanda as additional insured be filed with the city clerk no later than September 3rd, 2021.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 5 by Councilmember Newman.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, Madam President.
Second by Mr. Rautenstrau.
Whereas a special events application was received by the city clerk from the Exchange Club of the Town of Wanda's for their chicken barbecue at Veterans Park. And whereas the application was reviewed and commented on by all appropriate department heads to ensure the safety and well-being of our residents. And whereas all details of the above named event must be coordinated with Amanda Loft, Director of Parks and Recreation, and the event chairperson. Now therefore be resolved, the permission is granted to the Exchange Club of the Town of Wanda's to hold a chicken barbecue at Veterans Park on September 18th, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And resolved that a certificate of insurance naming the city of Tonawanda as additional insured be filed with the city clerk no later than September 10th, 2021.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 6 by the council, seconded by the council. Resolved at the recommendation of the city engineer, Jason J. LaMonaco, PE, that award of the contract for the CDBG sanitary sewer lining 2021 change order number 1 be made to National Water Main Cleaning Company at a cost not to exceed $70,496. Funding and slash fiscal impact, $15,806 from the sewer bond and $54,690 from the CDBG grant money.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 7 by Councilmember Rautenstrau.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cameron.
Whereas a special events application was received by the city clerk from Thomas Barafato to conduct slow spokes bike rides on July 21st, 2021 and August 4th, 2021 from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And whereas the application was reviewed and commented on by all appropriate department heads to ensure the safety and well-being of our residents. And whereas all the details of the above named events must be coordinated with Captain Frederick Foles of the Police Department and the Department of Public Works Superintendent Joseph Worthling and the event chairperson. Now therefore be resolved that permission is granted to Thomas Barafato to hold the slow spokes bike rides on July 21st, 2021 and August 4th, 2021. And be it further resolved that a certificate of insurance naming the city of Tonawanda as additionally insured is filed with the city clerk no later than July 16th, 2021.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 8 by the council, seconded by the council. Resolved at the recommendation of the city engineer, Jason J. LaMonaco, PE, that award of the contract for the sidewalk replacement for 2021 be made to Masters Edge, Inc. at a cost not to exceed $164,800.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 9 by Council President Cook.
Do we have a second?
I'd like to second, Madam President.
Second by Mr. Rautenstrau.
Whereas the special events application was received by the city clerk from Amanda Loft for the Glory Be to Kids softball tourney. And whereas the application was reviewed and commented on by all corporate department heads to ensure the safety and well-being of our residents. Whereas all details for the above named event must be coordinated with the Parks and Recreation Director. Therefore, be it resolved that permission is granted to Glory Be to Kids to hold their softball tourney on July 17th and July 18th with rain dates of July 24th and July 25th. Be it further resolved that a certificate of insurance naming the city of Tonawanda as additional insured be filed with the city clerk no later than July 9th, 2021.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 10 by Councilmember Rautenstrau.
We have a second.
I'll second, Madam President.
Second by Mr. Newman.
Whereas a special events application was received by the city clerk for the Discover 716 event at 901 Park Band Shell, and whereas the application was reviewed and commented on by all appropriate department heads to ensure the safety and well-being of our residents, and whereas all details of the above named event must be coordinated with Amanda Loft, Director of Parks and Recreation, and the event chairperson. Now therefore be resolved that permission be granted to JG Production to hold its Discover 716 event on Friday, July 16th, 2021, between 3:30 and 10 p.m. at 901 Park Band Shell, and resolved that any overtime that is incurred during the event will be paid for by JG Productions. And be it further resolved that a certificate of insurance naming the city of Tonawanda as additional insured be filed with the city clerk no later than July 9th, 2021.
Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 11 by the council, seconded by the council. Whereas a special events application was received by the city clerk from COT Neighbors United for pop-up play dates at Elmwood Park, Ives Park, and Veterans Park. And whereas the application was reviewed and commented on by all appropriate department heads to ensure the safety and well-being of our residents. And whereas all details of the above named event must be coordinated with the Recreation Director, Amanda Loft, and the event chairperson. Now therefore be resolved that permission is granted to COT Neighbors United to hold the pop-up play dates at Elmwood Park on July 17th, 2021, Ives Park on August 21st, 2021, and Veterans Park on September 18th, 2021, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And be it further resolved pursuant to Chapter 42, Parks and Recreation, Article 2, Conduct in Public Parks of the City Ordinance, Common Council has waived the requirements for the organization to provide a certificate of insurance.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted. Council's not going into executive session. At this time, we'll now take comments by the public following the resolutions. For those that are joining us in person, if you wish to address the council, please come up to the microphone. For those that are joining us virtually, if you wish to address the council, there is a raise your hand feature. Please do so at this time. Anyone wishing to address the council? Mr. Clerk, do you have anyone virtually that,
Madam President, at this time, I do not show anyone from the Zoom meeting that wants to ask, make any comments.
okay. Hearing none. Mr. Rautenstrau.
Starting with me. You know, I did want to start with a big thanks to all of our department workers, all of our department heads for putting on a great event for Independence Day yesterday. I was fortunate to be right up in front of it. It was a great show. It was great to see everybody there. Without stealing anybody else's thunder, I would like to say, thanks for the vendors that contributed to this, that helped make it happen. Thanks to the LDC for advertising and helping us put the show on. It was just a great event, and I've got a lot of great feedback saying how wonderful it was. I also a lot of feedback that hopefully we can maybe keep it there permanently, if that's possible. Secondly, I just want to again reiterate my thanks to Joe Worthling, to our garbage collectors for circling back, taking care of the garbage, and just working with everybody to make sure that was picked up. It's a great hustle on their part, great of them to make sure everything was taken care of amid some confusion. And that's really all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rautenstrau. Ms. Cameron.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I'd like to jump on the bandwagon and wish Ms. Mylum a happy belated 100th birthday. Congratulations. Second, the rec department is offering swimming lessons. So if you have your children and you want to, reach out to them, give them a call, 695-8658, and they can give you more information. Last but not least, I sent the mayor an email this afternoon in regards to lighting City Hall up for blue in recognition for juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I've never told anybody this, but my daughter, who is now 21, was diagnosed with that when she was 3 years old. And if you've never had somebody with arthritis, it is a very crippling disease, and she will be very upset with me if I go into details, so I won't do that. But there is about 300,000 children in America that get this disease. And there's medication that these children can be put on. It's not healthy for them to be on long-term. It is painful. Just like with an adult, it will eventually cause liver damage, all the non-fun stuff. We are blessed. My daughter is in remission. She's been there for about 3 years. However, with COVID, just like everything else, kind of put her in a little bit of a setback, but she is now doing much better. So we are blessed, but I just want people to be aware that, it is out there. It's not just an old person's disease. Kids can get it, and it is very painful. We were blessed with all of the schools that she went to in the city, which was Mullen. From Mullen, they were absolutely wonderful with her. And then we left Mullen, went to Riverview, and then from there we went to high school, which was a battle. But just be aware, that's all I have to say with that. So I'm hoping that the mayor will take and, light up City Hall for blue in recognition for that. That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you, Mrs. Cameron. Mr. Mylum.
Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody for all of the birthday wishes to my grandmother. I talked to her on my way over here today, and she was going to bed at about 5:30 because it's been a long 3 days of well wishes, but she certainly enjoyed her 100th birthday. And I want to thank everybody for all of their well wishes. City-wise, I don't think there's too much going on right now. I did want to say thank you to everybody involved for the fireworks. My wife and I were walking over last night, and we made it to about exactly at that little island right next to the high school, and we had the perfect viewing spot right there. By the end of the night, I almost hesitate telling this because it was a perfect spot and nobody was there. But by the end of the night, there was probably about 20 other people sitting there watching, and we could see them right over the houses. It was great. And I haven't, it's kind of strange. It's one of the only things I've ever seen on Facebook that doesn't have any negative comments about it. So it was a great show. As Councilmember Rautenstrau said, hoping that possibly next year we could do it the same spot and maybe even on a different day like we did this year. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mylum. Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to piggyback a little bit of what Dawn said about, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, a tough one. We were talking previously, and my son also suffered from JRA. And as a parent, it was a tough thing for your child to go through this. It's definitely a challenge. And he too is in remission. So, and it's good, but how long, who knows? If I start a whole new phase of arthritis problems. It's good to see the growing attendance here at City Hall. It's a sign of things starting to get back to normal. It's good to see. We have a lot of events coming up, which is also good to see. People getting back out there and just doing what they do and just enjoying life. I hope everybody had a great Independence Day. I want to thank William Boyle and his group for leading us for the pledge tonight. It was good for a much needed Independence Day celebration. And last but not least, I would like to thank our DPW and Parks and Rec. About a week ago, a massive weeping willow tree came down by the pond. And it came down around 4 a.m. and they were on it at 7 o'clock. And this thing was massive. It was like 6 truckloads of stuff they had to get out of there. It was, and they did a great job. That's all I have, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. Just like to jump on the firework bandwagon. For those of you that don't know, the company that we went with this year has in the past done our New Year's Eve celebration down by the hub, and they were chomping at the bit to be able to do our fireworks because one of their workers is a city resident. 90 fireworks shows in 3 days. In order to fit them in, we had to have it on July 5th. But actually, I think it worked out better because we're really the only game in Western New York. And I would like to thank Skylighters for putting on a great show. I know they had some issues. The truck that caught fire in Pendleton full of fireworks, that was theirs. So I want to thank them for a phenomenal show. We're going to use them next year. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors and our department heads for a great job cramming a 3-month event that usually gets planned into 3 weeks. So tomorrow, 6 p.m. here at City Hall will be a public meeting about the Long Homestead Bridge replacement. So if you're not doing anything, stop on by. The Wall That Heals, the event happens after our next council meeting, but the actual wall itself arrives on July 20th. And the route is going to take it from NCCC through the rest of Wheatfield, North Tonawanda, over the Seymour Street Bridge and up Niagara Street. And there'll be numerous motorcycles and other cars that are escorting the wall up Niagara Street. So there may be a few minutes of inconvenience as the wall progresses through the city, but come Thursday that the wall will be all set up and we'll have opening ceremonies and hopefully everybody can make it out. And last, I'd like to wish Dave's grandmother a happy belated birthday. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to thank the superintendent of schools, Dr. Tim Oldenburg, for opening up Fletcher School for our Warriors Walk. Skip Johnson led the tours. He's going to shake his head or nod in agreement, but we had close to 150 in attendance. So it was a great opportunity for them to get to tour Fletcher School before the real work begins. So thank you so much to him. I want to thank the young men that joined us tonight. You have an open invitation to come to any council meeting that you would like. Sometimes they're a little boring, but you can certainly come anytime and lead us in the pledge. So thank you. Last evening, along with Councilman Mylum, Assemblyman Bill Conrad, we had the opportunity to visit with Norma Milam, who celebrated her 100th birthday on July 1st. And I want to thank Councilman Milam for coordinating that event. It was so beautiful to see her family surrounding her, and I had the ability to present cards from the community that everyone had sent. And I took an opportunity to talk to her, and she said she's lived a very beautiful life. She's done everything that she's wanted to, and I tried to recruit her to run for council. Sorry, Tom, but I told her, you know, you may not be done yet. So, but she thanked everybody for sending the cards, and I think she's going to be reading them for a couple months with everything that she.
Especially with her eye problems.
So it just seeing the smile on her face just was amazing. So I want to thank Assemblyman Conrad, County Executive Mark Polenkars for issuing certificates and citations as well. We celebrated a couple birthdays here, you know, with Norma Milam, but also Chief Stewart, our fire chief, celebrated a birthday recently. And our city attorney, he's hiding in the back. He also celebrated a birthday. So happy belated birthday to you both. There you go, buddy. I ask that you keep in your thoughts and prayers former Councilman Tim Toth's family. His father, Joe, passed away. Joe was very active within the Senior Citizens Committee and Senior Citizen Center. So our condolences are to Sue, Tim, his brother, and his sister and brother-in-law. As the mayor mentioned, there is a public hearing tomorrow at City Hall at 6 p.m. It's an open house per se, but please stop out. In fact, I think you'll see Mr. Skip Johnson there, right? As Councilman Newman mentioned, you know, events are coming, and it's great to see our community come into our council meetings as well. Mark your calendars for July 11th. There's art on the Riverwalk. That's from 10 to 4. So stop on down and visit with our wonderful artists and see what they have to offer. I just want to thank the Visual and Performing Arts and all the sponsors who helped make this happen. On your agenda, under communications from city officials and correspondences, you'll see a report from the city treasurer about our sales tax. And it's great to see that our second quarter sales tax is up 21% from the previous year. That's certainly a good sign. I know there was some discussion about the fireworks. They were great. I could see it right from my front lawn, so that was amazing. The council had met last week to authorize the mayor to sign a contract. That contract we should have back in our hands tomorrow, but we're just waiting on some signatures from the vendor. So once we get that, that will be ordered and filed. And last but not least, for those that wish to stick around, we will be meeting with David Stapleton from David Homes. So he'll be joining us just to give the council an update on his plans. I believe I saw him in the back. He is here. Okay, perfect. All right. So with that said, Mr. Stapleton, if you want to come and join us. Usually we do meet in there. Our meetings have been broadcast via Zoom, so we have residents that are joining us. Right there is perfect. If you want, just so we capture your comments. Thank you, gentlemen. I know we'll just let some of
Thank you,
the
guys.
Thanks, guys.
some of the members leave. All right, Mr. Stapleton, I just want to introduce the council. Do you know this guy? Mr. Newman, Ms. Cameradiner, Mr. Stroud, Mr. Mallon. All right,
So,
how's it going?
no, it's going as well as can be expected. I think what we had talked about, Jenna, was to give you, I think, a little bit of an update on where we're at. And then where we're going with the project that was formerly known as Little League, that we are calling Villas at River Walk. And we have closed on the property. The city's been paid in full. We have title transferred into our entity. And there was a little bit of confusion over the road closure. And I want to take some responsibility for that because there had been discussion in the past about the road being closed. And of course, in the original process of designing the community, there was a lot of opinion, and I would say strong opinion. Yeah.
Just hold for 1 second. Mr. Clerk, are you able to capture Mr. Stapleton's comments? Can you hear him?
Yes, Madam President, we
Okay.
are able to capture his comments.
Okay. Thank you.
So as you may remember, there was a lot of passion about having it not closed with the permanent new roads that are going in. So I was aware of that. And as with most construction sites, for safety purposes, once they become a construction site, access through is closed off. So yes, I was aware that this was going to happen. And quite frankly, since we had already tendered all the final payment candidly some time ago, so we kept our end of the bargain by doing that. But unfortunately, and I'm not the attorney, but the title took a little bit longer than everyone had expected to get transferred. I think that was probably more on our end and our legal than here in the city. Be that as it may, we had paid even before we got to own it. We had paid in full. So ultimately, when the title was finally transferred and the deed was recorded in the county clerk's office, I think the prudent thing was that it was closed, but unfortunately, I wasn't aware until after it was closed. Those are the city barriers, not mine. But quite frankly, I'll take some responsibility for that not being communicated as well as possible. But I did know it was going to be happening at some point. So I think at the end of the day, we quickly discussed it internally in our company with our consultants, and the decision was made even at some risk on our part because the community was so passionate about it, and rather than inconvenience people, we decided, okay, let's have it open back up. And I think that was done within a matter of days, and now people are using it again. So technically, they're using private property. We're okay with that for the purposes of passing through. I did receive a letter that I think maybe you had forwarded to me that came to the council, or came to you.
Yes.
That there was one of the residents was very passionate about this. I think we had already, that letter was after the fact.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, so I read the letter, actually read it again today in preparation. But yeah, I understood her point. That's why I appreciated the way she approached it. And even though the letter was sent afterwards, she acknowledged that we had opened it up. And the request was that we come up with a plan when we are under construction to provide an access. And we looked at that today, my engineer and I, and for those who can remember direction, to the west end of the property, okay, there is a stub street called Wadsworth. This may not make people on Wadsworth as happy, but there is a stub street that the city owns that's already there. That end of that Wadsworth won't be connected to the new roads. So it's not going to be a through street. However, close to that and where it could connect, if it were to, is close to one of the existing trails that is to the west of that. And there is a stub off of one of the trails. So there is, we believe, access, but I didn't field verify it. But my point being, if that was extended slightly, and I'm going to try and figure out a way if we could extend that even for a short term for people who wanted to get closer to the park coming off of Fletcher. Okay. However, I think everybody's aware, if you go 18 houses to the west towards 2 Mile, there is already access to the same trails that would head north. So the only thing this would do would be making it 8 houses closer than the current Little League drive-through. So we did look at that. I think that is probably feasible to do that. I don't know how much connectivity we'd have to put in, but it wouldn't be a permanent solution. It would be a temporary.
I think
Is that,
The-
I'm making that clear? I don't know.
I think the access was for vehicular, not,
Okay. I thought
yeah,
she meant-
so
okay,
I don't know if,
Yeah.
if you might appease some people, but you might irritate some others by,
That's called life to it.
right, you know,
Yes, it was for vehicular.
yeah.
I think, because I was reading the comment about somebody in a stroller pushing their child. And I think I took that literally as that was gonna be the main concern to get to bike paths and walking paths. That one I think is doable. As far as under construction, trying to continue the connectivity, that will be more of a challenge. Because the extension of what is, I think Sharon Drive, which is now considered Little League, coming from Fletcher into the park, that is effectively where the new road is going to go. So I don't know that that's going to be feasible to have a temporary vehicular access through there, okay, under construction. But the first phase is from Fletcher through what is now Sharon, also known as Little League, north, turn west, and then connect up to where it does currently now in the park, where the water tower is, okay? So it's not a large extension of road, but it would be needed to be closed while it's under construction.
When do you anticipate the first phase beginning?
Good question. So as of just today, we've got word back from the Erie County Water Authority relative to the water design. One of the concerns we had earlier on that the current guidelines with Erie County Water, we're going to require an after the fact road tap and disruption for each water service for each of the units that are going to be built there, each of the buildings. Well, so to follow the logic in this, we were going to, and not on the city's cost, but at our private cost, we're going to borrow the money and pay for a very well-designed and built road to your standards. And then each time we put a house up, we're going to dig into that new road just to attach, to tap the water. I found that was, it didn't make sense to me. So we worked with the Erie County Water Authority. They were a pleasure to work with, but it is different than how they normally do it. And we'll have a total of 15 buildings. So the compromise we reached was that instead of 90 disruptions to the new road that we're putting in, that ultimately would be the city's responsibility, we're able to limit it down to 15, which is quite a big, quite a big difference. Okay, we're going to do one for each building that we do, and they're typically in 4 to 5 in a building. Okay, so in other words, instead of cutting the road approximately 90 times after the new road is put in, it will be a total of 15 at the most. We do have another creative way that we may not have to do even 15. Okay,
So those 15 are the after the fact road taps,
that is correct.
and they're going to be per building, correct?
The tap water service would be per building, yes,
So not per unit.
not per.
And your stormwater plans have been with our city engineer. I don't know if he's gotten them back to you yet, but
Jason had
Yeah.
a few,
they were very minor.
yeah,
Where Sharon becomes Little League, where that first turn is, there was the potential for some water ponding during a heavy rain event, kind of like today.
yeah, right.
And just some mitigating things to take into account with that, but they were very minor. I don't know if he's officially sent it back to you, but
He told me prior to the holiday that there would be some, and we're expecting those. So, frankly, everything, and this is not an excuse, but it's the reality of the world we're in today. Everything, even these smaller items through Erie County took a little bit longer. Like I said, they were excellent to deal with, but it did take longer than we expected. So I think we're in that final stretch of the fine tuning of the final engineering to make it not only better for us to build, but for the new homeowners, but also for the city, who's going to end up, maintaining the new roadways. Frankly, I'm actually sort of surprised it was still set up the way it was. And had we not pushed and asked that question, it probably would have been done the same old fashioned way. So that was a win, I think, for everybody. So relative to the fine tuning of these last items that are underway, frankly, right now there is a lot of concern what's been going on with the materials market, with the labor capacity for everything, let alone home building. And I think we're all aware of that. So we want to be ready and able to so-called pull the trigger as soon as we see the opportunity. My internal plan was, it still is this fall. I think that's going to largely depend upon what happens with the labor supply and the material costs that we're dealing with today, which have been, probably everybody knows, out of control. Okay. And there's a few people in here who are very familiar because they're in the same industry, and I think they're aware of both of those issues as well.
So first phase anticipating this fall, dependent upon labor and lumber.
Correct.
Okay. Any other updates for the council?
As far as the access points driving through, I mean, clearly we're not encouraging people to be going through it, but actually just as a little, I guess you call it a sidebar that I just had with the city attorney, as he said, he goes, it's your property, so it's your liability, not the city's. I'm fully aware of that right now, but I just felt that that was probably the best compromise under the current circumstances. Listen, we had hoped to have this in already by now. A lot of us hoped a lot of things were done by now in life, but we've all been thrown a curve. So I felt that was at least the most reasonable compromise we could have, was to not inconvenience people for a longer period of time. And as far as where we go from there, I think that will be another conversation we'll have as we firm up the timing and the plans of actually physically putting in the first phase. Okay. But for now, we're fine having it allowed for public access.
So as you drive through or walk through, the grass is a little tall. Are you going to address that, or what is the plan with that?
So I have to tell you that I'm not completely familiar with the city's ordinance on this, and if there's a city ordinance that we have to comply with, then we're going to. I know in most of our other communities that we are required to cut back. We have a lot of vacant land where we cut back along, it's typical along the right of way, okay, which is along the roadway. Now this one's a little bit different because it's not really a roadway, it's I guess it was a private driveway through this piece of land, okay, or through the acreage, I guess we'll call it. It was part of the park originally. So this one sort of falls in the, I'm not sure exactly how you classify it. And I'm not 100% clear on what the city's ordinance is relative to grass. We do have other properties that we cut, but as I said, we typically cut not 14 acres, but we cut along the road right of way. Is this something that you're getting complaints on from the residents who are driving through there? Or?
I've received several complaints. So what I will do is I will reach out to our building inspector and just have a conversation, and or Dave, maybe you can reach out to our building inspector, talk about the ordinance, and just make sure Mr. Stapleton's aware of.
Sure, I'll copy right on the email.
Perfect, and you know how to get a hold of me, obviously, we're in the
Yes.
same email chain, and so does the building inspector. If you want to have, just call me directly, whatever you.
Sure.
If you just would copy the council on
Yep,
it.
absolutely. I did have another, and this maybe not have anything to do with anything that you can do, but as a council, and you guys had kind of touched on this as well in our little sidebar discussion. That is prime deer area. So the concern is, and I can see this, is the growing population of deer in this area, that once it's developed, where they're gonna go. I can tell you they're gonna go right into our neighborhoods, and I get a lot of complaints about, I've spent X amount of money on my flowers and it becomes deer feed. So I think as a council, we may need to look into something about removing them from there or humanely or taking them somewhere, so that we don't put them back and push them into the neighborhoods to, 'cause I know I spent hundreds of dollars on trying to figure out a way to keep deer out of my front yard. So it was fun when the kids were young and we could say it was Santa, but now it's a little expensive. So if there's something that we can maybe do as a council to be a little more proactive on that end, to kind of save the residents some hassle. That's just putting it on there.
And in the meantime, they've got an expensive place to play at my expense. So
Absolutely.
they can, I guess there's the bright side for now.
Yeah. I haven't seen, I did have a couple very newborns in my backyard the other day. But, for the residents who live up there and put a lot of money in. So I just think it's something that we as a council need to at least consider to see what we can do to help these folks out.
Absolutely.
It's a concern of a lot of communities throughout
Yeah,
Western America.
yeah.
And you might want to model some of your solutions after what some of the others are doing. Although some may not be as widely.
Correct.
If I may.
Technically, during this period, we don't allow for a public comment, but if you would like, or
If there's a
Mr. Stapleton,
question, I'd be happy
I'll
to be
waive it to you.
happy to answer anything afterwards.
Well, I think it's something the council itself has to hear.
Yeah,
also.
yeah, I just want to make sure that Mr. Stapleton is in agreement.
Yeah, right, I don't want
Oh, no, I'm fine. Yeah, do you have any other questions for me?
Council have any other questions?
I know you don't want to turn this into a public hearing.
No, correct.
So, problem I want to address is you did mention possible access through Wadsworth. And I think it's important that that be considered and not 2 Mile Creek path, because lots of people moved into the neighborhood with access to that park being in their mind, and a lot of people come down with buggies. And if they went down 2 Mile Creek, they would be in a position where they would have to push those buggies uphill and with no real path giving them access to the playground or to the ball diamonds. So I really think something has to be arranged for the use of Wadsworth to be able to have access to those facilities. I'm not advocating vehicular traffic, but certainly a path that would be easy to put.
Especially from 2 Mile Creek.
Whatever, or for somebody with a walker. I can't think of who that might be over here or two. But, I think those things it's important for consideration.
Because what you're speaking of is if you go down 2 Mile Creek on the pedestrian access, there isn't access to the rest of the park from that area, other than going through the grass. There isn't anything paved there. Good point.
So maybe we could try. for
Yeah,
That's what I
range.
mean. and
Right,
I
that can
think
be
that's
rectified.
That's a good trade-off or something to discuss.
Yeah, maybe we could take a walk on that path, just take a walk in the area, take a look at
But
it.
it's a very uphill.
Yeah.
From that. If you start going down the hill, there's no
Depends on
way to
your
get to that.
perspective.
It's a very uphill,
But if you're coming the opposite way,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
very
if you're coming-
downhill.
but to go from that path, there's no way, direct way, paved way to get into the,
You're forced to, from the neighborhood,
yes.
to walk down the path and then have to walk up through a fairly steep.
You almost have to go out to Niagara Street to get a paved, for the next paved area to get up to the park.
If there was a little cutoff from the 2 Mile Creek path to that little road that goes by the big water thing, that would.
That's the flattest area.
That's what
Yeah.
we're saying. It's what
That is, that-
Wadsworth to that little road,
that's exactly what I was
then to Veterans
saying.
Drive.
Actually, to a point prior to that, it appears based on, yeah,
But there were plans to connect the 2 Mile Creek path to the street access where the water tower
That's
is
correct.
to access the park,
So what
so.
I can offer is this, because are you the next lady who wrote it up?
Well, it sounds like you're referencing my letter.
It is.
And you were polite and you thanked me for our quick action in getting it open, but I understand your concern on that. And so again, not the vehicular traffic, but the pedestrian and walker and bike and stroller access and walker. What we'll do, I'd be happy to talk with whoever wants to spearhead this, or maybe even just meet Jason and I. Just, the city engineer probably has the best information on this, unless Dave, you want to talk to me about it, probably happy to talk to anyone.
That'd be good.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Dave. It'd be nice. And then Dave, you can brief the council.
Dave, how long do you think it would take, once you break ground on the roadways themselves, at least the first phase? How long do you think that would take? Roughly.
I'm going to thank Councilmember Newman, who's in the construction industry, for not giving me a softball question, because he knows I don't know the answer to that. Well, so we have some of its capacity of ours, some of its capacity of who we have doing the job. I mean, at the end of the day, because of the connectivity, the actual road infrastructure won't take that long, but I believe we have to do all the sewer for the entire community in preparation of just the first phase. Now, why we decided the first phase where it was to get connectivity back as quickly as possible. It may not be the most ideal for us relative to cost and effectiveness. It would probably be starting at the west end near Wadsworth. So if your question is how long will it take once they start to get the road actually paved, all of the steps, is that what you're asking?
Well,
Are you looking for?
not
structures
just
going up?
destroyed, just pretty much stone or,
Okay,
anything like that. So there would be some access through, there's no point.
okay.
I'm just curious how long it was actually be closed, non-accessible
Fair-
because
fair
it's
question.
dangerous.
You know what? I don't have the answer to that. Because part of the problem is once you have water and sewer lines crossing that new road in storm, we can't easily let people cross it. Like today, quite frankly, you're passing at your own risk with the potholes over there, as we all know, okay? But it's not a road, it's really a driveway, which will be ripped up, obviously, because that's partly where our new road's gonna be. But we wouldn't be able to allow people to access it technically then until it's dedicated to city standards back to the city. So that process would take longer than just a construction access. Now, having said that, one of the concerns somebody expressed because they're so used to it was that the fire department wasn't made aware of the shut off. Okay. And again, things did happen fast at the end. I don't know that I was actually supposed to do that, but if it was, I apologize. But I think what we'll do is, there will be a time where if that's important to get quicker access, and they could go through our construction road for an emergency, that's a different story. Okay. Day-to-day resident traffic going through because they don't want to go up to 2 Mile Creek for their own convenience, a little different than an emergency. So I believe we could probably accommodate sooner for an emergency situation going through the site. And nice thing is a fairly flat site, so it's not as if we're going to need to be that concerned. I mean, you could probably drive on a decent dry day through the whole site with a truck anyways.
I mean, the reality is at some point, the community does have to accept that this is just gonna be off limits for a time. I
That
mean,
is
you
correct.
do the best you can do, obviously, but it's the reality of it.
Yeah, that is correct.
Thank you, Dave.
Well,
How many phases?
currently 3.
And then after your first phase is complete, will there be a period of time before you start the second phase, or obviously economics
Exactly.
plays in?
It's no secret that I wish we were already in the ground now based on what the market is doing. But now everybody is also wondering where the market is, and we don't want, listen, I think that the buyers that we're getting calls from who are primarily city residents, and I will say primarily what we consider empty nesters, I think they'll still be interested because it's going to be a low maintenance, single story, living, that market doesn't necessarily change as much if and when the market overall changes. Does that make sense?
Any questions? Any other questions? Anything else?
No.
So I know we have some residents in the community that may want to, talk to you
Yeah,
kind of
I'll-
offline if you just want to hang out and,
I will go in the back and eat some of your pizza. And then,
Okay.
I will- Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
So for any residents that wish to talk to Mr. Stapleton, he will be in the back there. All right, anything else for the council? All right, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Mr. Newman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, have a great night, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, right.
That means everyone else.
Like the way.
So the people, you're good.
Thanks, for the vote of confidence.
Sure. Anytime.